Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. There was this park that I used to love to go to in New York City, the Village, not far from NYU, called Washington Square Park. And it's just one of those parks. It's really easy to get to. It's very chill. There's always something going on there. Like anytime you go there, you know you're going to see some interesting people, some interesting things going on, have a great conversation. And I'd met really intriguing individuals over the years at that park. So I remember years ago, I was there and I was sitting down on a bench. And I remember there was this guy who was sitting not that far from me. And he was changing his shoes that he had to a new pair of shoes. So he had an older pair of shoes and he was getting rid of those and putting on a new pair. And there was another man, so I'm sitting on this bench. He's sitting over there on the next bench. And then there's a bench on the other side where a older black man ends up coming over and he says, "Man, you want these sneakers? You want these shoes?" And the man said, "Yeah." So he took them. So the guy who was next to me, he was somewhat young. Maybe he was older than me at the time, but in his 20s. And somehow we started talking. And I remember he had very, very intense eyes. His eyes they were blue, but they were just a very intense blue. Extremely, extremely bright, extremely deep. And as we were talking, I could tell the way he was interacting and the way he was looking that he knew he had intriguing eyes. He knew that he had very attractive eyes. And it was as if when he was communicating that he was making eye contact. And at some point, he was saying to me, uh, you know, I love, to make breakfast for a woman. I stay at her house and, make breakfast for her. And I said to him, first of all, I don't, it's not that type of ball. It's not that type of party. I just basically explained to him that. And he was telling me about, he went on to tell me, yeah, there was this one woman that I met and she brought me back to her place. And then I made breakfast for her. I brought breakfast for her in bed. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But no. So I, it was so bizarre. So anyway, he wasn't unattractive, because you can have attractive eyes and not necessarily be that striking in your features. But he, overall was an attractive man. But what he didn't realize was that, well, what it seemed to be that he was homeless. He didn't have a place to stay. Maybe he had left home and had been traveling. And so that was his thing. Like, I'm going to use my baby blues to get a place to stay and some, little something, something in addition to a place to stay. I think that was kind of his MO. So the thing he didn't realize was that he smelled. He smelled in the way that a person smells when they haven't bathed for a while and the sweat and the rancid odor, it just kind of has marinated in the shirt or whatever you're wearing. And someone reminded me today, this is how this story came about, because someone reminded me today how people can't smell themselves. And that brought back this incident. And so the smell was very strong. And I was thinking to myself, this poor boy, he he wants to have game, but he doesn't realize he smells. This is an issue. So, being me, I had to tell him. And I remember I didn't really want to tell him. It wasn't like I was finding some personal satisfaction in telling this man that he had body odor. That was not. No, I was hesitant, but something said, Hasna, you just have to tell him. Just let him know. So I said to him, no, like, I'd explained to him, like, first of all, I'm not, it's not like that for me. I'm Muslim. I don't, go out there in that way. But also, you smell. And he said, I smell. And he went, and I, and I said, yeah. I said, yeah. And I said, I just wanted to let you know, just so you know. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking how many people would he have come across that wouldn't have told him. And it made me think of how all of us, in some way or another, we have a bad smell. In some way or another, we have that quality that other people can see it, other people can detect it, but no one lets us know. Like, hey, you really need to work on such and such. And sometimes we may not like how it's told to us. Sometimes we may not even really like the person who says it that much. They may not be someone we know that well. They may not be someone that we even have great respect for, or that we look at their life and we say, oh, wow, you're the epitome of what I want to be. But they may be the only one that will let you know you stink. And so, in some way, shape, or form, we all need that. We all need a person who will tell us, who will draw, or an incident that will draw our attention to what we need to work on. And if we're always surrounded by people who only praise us, only talk about the great aspects of ourself, then we won't necessarily grow. Now, there are some of us that put ourselves under scrutiny, and we sit and we look back and we say, okay, is it possible that I need to work on this? And is it possible that this person had an issue with me because I could have done this better? And I'm not perfect in this area, but I do try. I won't say I do try. I do ask people, I do look at different incidents and say, okay, I could have improved in this area, or this would have been a better way to handle such and such. But there's always room for improvement. So I was just thinking to ask some of you, do you have a person in your life that lets you know when your stuff stinks? Tell me about it.